welcome to another episode of Search Off the Record, a podcast coming to you from the Google search team, discussing all things search and maybe having some fun along the way. We'll see. My name is John, and I'm joined today by Gary, who's also from the search relations team, of which I'm also a part of. Today, we're going to be talking about quality and some of the effects on the rest of search. What do you think, Gary?
Do you remember the good old days when it was just the two of us and we were sitting in the old building here in Google Zurich, or Google Zurich, and it was just the two of us, and it was always awkward because we were wearing our headphones and just doing very, very important work.
High quality.
Like playing Dig Dug.
Playing Dig Dug. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, good times. But we had our own little cube, which was kind of good.
That was fantastic. I want that cube back.
But it was also a weird time because you had to go to the office every day. It's like such weird expectations.
That was good quality time. So you said something about quality.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah. So I was kind of wondering what are like the general effects of quality on search? Like we talk about ranking, but where else could it play a role?
Quality is a big topic, right? Like it's a very big and complex topic. It affects pretty much everything that the search systems do. I don't know how are we going to cover it in 20 minutes or 25 minutes or whatever, but we can try it.
Okay.
What was the question, by the way?
What is the effect of quality on search? Like we talk about ranking and everyone thinks like, oh, high quality means ranking, but what else does it play a role in?
Yeah, everything. Quite literally, like from sitemaps to ranking, everything.
From sitemaps, okay. So crawling as well, or?
Yep. Cross scheduling, yep. Indexing, yep. Index selection, yep. Ranking, yep. So yeah, it's a very, very big topic. And of course, like different systems are affected differently, or they are using it quality differently, but using the quality differently, but still they are using it and it's affecting it.
Okay. But is like how does quality play a role with crawling, for example? Is it like, I don't know, that we're going to crawl a quality page first?
Let's start with a news site, potatopeelers.com. Let's say that it's a brand new site. It only has the homepage so far, and it has some content on it. It's not gibberish. It's not the highest quality, but it's content. And usually we give the benefit of doubt to homepages, and we are generally eager to crawl it without any biases, I guess, or predictions or whatever. So we go to the homepage and then we crawl it. We probably start indexing it, and unless it's like utter crap, we are going to most likely index it and then serve it at least for the domain query. And then if potatopeelers.com publishes yet another page, let's say that we discover it through sitemaps because people don't know about it yet, or we go back, like revisit the homepage and then we see a link to that page, then we are going to look back at how was the quality of the homepage, or like the content of the homepage, and then make a prediction about whether we want to crawl that new page that we just discovered or not.
So by making a prediction, what do you mean? Googlebot is going to toss a coin, or?
But it's not Googlebot. I think this is a big misconception that Googlebot is also smart, but it's not. Basically, Googlebot is pretty much just a wget or curl instance running in the cloud. It's fetching things from the internet, but it's not doing much. But before that, there's a system called the cross scheduler, which we talked about it in a very, very early episode, I think episode 5 or something, that tries to make predictions about what to crawl and when from the internet, from the whole internet. And that will also make predictions based down to site.
Okay.
So basically, if we know that we have 1,000 URLs that we have to crawl from a site, then it will try to build an ordered list of URLs that we should crawl. And the order will be the priority of the crawl. Like,
Okay.
start crawling from the top because we think that that's the most important thing based on the quality that we saw or on previous pages that we crawled.
Mm-hmm.
And then the further down you go on that list, the lower the priority is, either because it's not changing often, like the content is not changing often, or because the content is less high quality.
Lower quality.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for fixing my England. But yeah, so crawl scheduling, that's where things play a role.
I have an interesting anecdote, or at least I find it interesting.
Okay.
Back before I joined Google, I would create test sites to try things out.
Sure, same.
Because like with test sites, you kind of see what is happening. And I made one site where I added, I don't know, a couple hundred links to new pages on there. And when Googlebot, Google, whatever, like all of these Google systems, like back then, it was like one big thing, or at least to me. When Google discovered all of these links, it crawled them in alphabetical order.
What?
So they were like randomly on the page, but they were crawled in alphabetical order. You could look in the log file and it'd be like everything with A, B, C, and D. I imagine that's not the case anymore, but I thought that was pretty fun.
I guess so. I mean, back then, the internet was different. I mean, we keep going back to how different the internet was before we joined. That was like 15 years ago or whatever. Yeah, it was different, and you had to crawl the internet differently. So I imagine that the alphabetical order might have worked just fine, because instead of having trillions of URLs on the internet, you had about 7.
A couple more, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe more than 7. Yeah. That's fun. I don't think we are using the alphabet to organize our crawl tables anymore.
I mean, maybe it was also just like, oh, all of these links are equally junk. It's like, we will just use one random order that we come up with.
Equally junk? What were you publishing,
well, it's
John?
like test pages, to try things
sure,
out.
With AdSense on them, right?
I don't know. It's been a long time,
Admit it.
So when you say predict, what is Google trying to predict when it comes to like in the crawl scheduler?
John, pay attention. We are talking about quality.
Oh, they're predicting the quality.
Among other things, yes. But the quality is the most important thing that we are trying to predict.
Okay.
Because that's driving most of the decisions that we make, including index selection, basically whether we should index something or not, or crawl something or not, and so on. So yeah, the quality, that's the biggest player in that group. And then there's also like change frequency. Like, for example, if you have a pattern, URL pattern on the site where you are storing your site's legalese, like the terms of service and the privacy policy and whatever, those pages tend to change not.
Yeah.
Like maybe like once a year or once every 5 years. So we don't have to crawl that pattern all that often. And then we can focus on the other parts of your site, let's say.
Okay.
So that would also feed into those predictions that we make, like whether we have to crawl something or not.
So would the change frequency be related to quality, or are those like two completely separated things coming together?
They are two distinct signals that just goes into scheduling.
Okay.
Because we are talking about scheduling. But the most important is quality. It's always quality. And I think externally people don't necessarily want to believe it, but the quality, that's the biggest driver for most of the indexing and crawling decisions that we make, or our systems make it, at least.
Cool. So you mentioned the legalese pages, like terms of service. Would those be lower quality, or would they be like equally high quality?
I mean, they can be equally high quality. It really depends how the page is written and what the content is and how the content is, versus like, oh, this is a legal topic. I don't want to crawl it. Oh, Googlebot is not picky about the topic.
Okay.
And nor is our indexing or crawl scheduling. So basically, at that stage, we don't even know that something is about privacy or something. We just crawl it and then analyze it, try to estimate the quality of the content, come up with a bunch of numbers that represent quality, and then use that in future crawls.
Cool. You mentioned that when legal pages are like a separate part of a site, then for like change frequency, we would try to take that into account. Does that also work with quality? Like, could you have one part of your site be more high quality, another part of the site lower quality?
Yeah, I think so. Like, if you think about it, you have, I don't know, potatopeelers.com/Gary brand. And that's obviously like the highest possible quality, like all the pages under that pattern are the highest quality. And then you have potatopeelers.com/gibberish potato peelers.
Okay.
Eventually, we might learn that URLs under that pattern hold content that people will never actually search for. So why would we index it or crawl it?
And since we're talking about potato peelers, do you think the quality of the product plays a role, or is it just the quality of the text? Like if you have a really good potato peeler, but you have, I don't know, like a cat walked over the keyboard and wrote the landing page for it.
So if the content is gibberish, then it's highly unlikely that we are going to index it or crawl it. If it's the first page, then we are probably going to crawl it. But I think we are not going to index it because we still have to be able to extract the words that you use on the page. And if the cat was kind enough to walk over your keyboard, then that might actually generate just, gibberish, basically how my sites are. And it would be probably very hard to get it indexed just because we can't actually extract anything from the page that would make sense.
So you might get lucky in that we crawl it, but then you get unlucky because we notice it's actually not that useful after all, and we don't use it for indexing.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
And then once we learn that, we can apply that to, or eventually we can apply that on the whole URL pattern. So /gibberish potato peelers might actually be treated differently than /Gary brand because the pages under gibberish potato peeler tend to be lower quality.
Okay.
And of course, you can also apply this on, like, you have UGC, user generated content. But let's say that you have user generated content on your site and it's restricted to one particular pattern, like /UGC/John. and /Gary and /whatever, then eventually we might learn that the vast majority of the content there is not the highest of quality, and then we might crawl less from there. And I think there were quite a few SEOs who ran experiments with this, and they moved out lowish quality UGC off of the main site, and then they started seeing like an uptick in how we crawl certain patterns on the site. So I think like people already, like in a sense, people already know about this. It's just not very obvious most of the time.
Okay. So it also sounds like you can improve the quality of your site. It's not like you're caught with gibberish once and then Google will never look at your site again.
Sure. I mean, my sites are all a testament to that. Like you can always improve the site and then get out of the crawling jail, I guess. Or whatever. I can't come up with a better name. But yeah, like if you're removing low quality content from your site, then that will ultimately improve the rest of the site. I think the hardest part is trying to figure out what is lower quality, especially if you have like a massive site or a site that's been around for like thousands of years, like webmasterworld.com, or what's Barry's site? Barry Schwartz's site. searchengineroundtable.com. Like if you have one of those sites, then it's very hard to go back and try to figure out what are the pages that we might consider lower quality, even if we have documentation about what we consider quality content.
One thing I've seen SEOs do is look at their analytics and say everything that gets fewer than, I don't know, 7 clicks is low quality and I'll delete it. Does that make sense? Or is that...
I mean, 7 in general, that makes perfect sense.
7. Okay.
But 7 is a good number.
Okay. I mean, it's obviously tricky with a really large website. And if you're also still producing new content, do you think like for Barry's site, which I feel kind of sorry for him now that we're like discussing his site and he's not here.
Don't feel sorry for him. He loves the attention.
But I mean,
we should have him back.
We should have him back. That's true. Yeah, he's great.
He's fun.
Yeah, like for his site, do you think it makes sense to go through all of the old content and delete or improve the content, or should he just focus on making sure the new content is high quality?
I think in case of these sites like Webmaster World or Search Engine Roundtable, it doesn't actually matter that much anymore because like they are so established that they get direct visitors anyway, and people are looking for these sites anyway, regardless of what we are doing. They are linking to these sites a lot. So we see that people actually look for these sites. Like, for example, you go to, I don't know, like randomsite.com, you see a blog post about SEO, and then that blog post is linking out to Search Engine Roundtable, for example. That's a good hint for us that target sites, our Search Engine Roundtable, might be important. And the more links you see from normal sites, like not profile pages and like random gibberish sites like johnmoo.com. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? Like these links that people litter on the internet on normal places, not like weird places, they can actually be really helpful estimating like how important something is for getting in the index. And so for these sites like Webmaster World or Search Engine Roundtable, it doesn't really matter anymore that in the past they might have had some lower quality content, UGC or not, because like people are linking to these sites. You don't even have to tell people that, oh, please, sir, give me one more link. So
I guess we don't disclose what individual factors we look at for quality, but I have a few that people ask me from time to time. Can I ask you? Okay. Duplicate content.
Generally, no. People are afraid of duplicate content way too much. And it's normal to have some duplication on the site, and don't worry too much about it. Try not to like over duplicate it, because then you might actually bring down your site accidentally, because we are going to be very excited about crawling all those new URLs that we discover. But otherwise, I wouldn't be too worried about duplicate content.
Okay. Affiliate links?
Meh.
Not a problem. Okay, good.
It depends on the content. Like if you are just copying something from the affiliate marketplace that the product owner gave you, and you are just taking that and then you're putting it on your site and then placing a link, then that's not that useful. You're not creating helpful content. You're just like copy pasting something. But if you actually reviewed the product, like the potato peeler, and you took pictures and then you, I don't know, even stress tested the blade, for example, and then you wrote a thing about that, then that's helpful. Like it's unique, helpful content. So you should be able to earn a buck out of that thing. And then placing an affiliate link somewhere in there, I think it's fine.
Okay.
But of course, like individual country laws, like you might need to disclose things, but from our perspective, it's fine.
Cool. Translated content, if you translate something into Swiss German or normal German.
Automatically translated content, I would strongly prefer if people review the translations, because Lizzie, our tech writer, and I deal a lot with translations, and we use machine translation with the review, and we see stuff. We've seen things.
Machines.
So I would prefer if people reviewed what these machine translations give to people.
Okay, cool. I feel we could have hours of discussion on the topic of quality.
Oh, yeah.
But we have to wrap it up. All right. Well, thank you for joining me here, Gary. This was fun. We should do this from time to time.
It was, wasn't it?
Yes. We've been having fun with these podcast episodes, and I hope you, the listener, have been finding them both entertaining and insightful as well. Feel free to drop me a note on Twitter or chat with us at one of the next events that we go to if you have any thoughts. And, of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you, and goodbye.